college football on the West Coast has had a lot of great teams over the past 20 years that have captured the eyes of the entire nation. Everybody remembers Pete Carroll and his time with the USC Trojans, or the time that Boise State shocked the entire nation and continued to show everybody that the smaller schools can compete with everybody else, or even the 2010s Oregon Ducks teams that just stayed around the top. But there's another team throughout this time period who fell under the radar and has slowly rose back up, and that is none other than the Washington Huskies. After going 0-12 in 2008, it took the Huskies just one more season after that to see instant results. Since that winless season, they have qualified for the postseason in 9 consecutive seasons, and have won the Pac-12 title twice and been ranked in the top 10 in each of the past 3 seasons. But UW not only has a good recent history, they also have a rich history of success as well. They have 2 claimed national championships coming in 1960 and 1991, 17 conference titles, a 61.6 all-time winning percentage, and have won their fair share of Rose Bowls. And from 1977 through 2003, Washington had 27 consecutive non-losing seasons. But that 0-12 season was a part of a miserable few seasons for Washington, and the school had officially hit a new low, even though they were already at the bottom. So how did the Huskies turn around their program in such a short period of time? In today's video, we'll be looking at the rise and rebirth of Washington Huskies football. To begin their rise, we have to look at that 0-12 2008 season. At the time, the Huskies had a lot of rebuilding and soul searching to do. They just fired head coach Tyrone Willingham, who won just 11 games in his 4 seasons as the leader of the program. Now, Willingham didn't leave the Huskies with nothing, as the team had a lot of young, raw talent, but none was bigger than quarterback Jake Locker. Locker would prove to be a huge reason as to why UW was able to have success and continued a long tradition of good Husky quarterbacks. To lead the team for the next few seasons, Washington decided to hire USC offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian, who had a lot of success working with the Trojans offense and developing their quarterbacks, and he was set to continue that once again. In just his first season, he saw immediate success as the Huskies won 5 games, which was 5 more than they won the previous year. Anything was going to be a positive gain, but this was a great step in the right direction, and the team came close to making the postseason. They lost 4 games by 1 possession, and even upset number 3 ranked USC in the 3rd game of the year, and that upset was huge for the school. The Huskies started off the 2010 season at 3-6, including a loss to Nebraska and also another win over a ranked USC. They would end that year on a 4-game win streak, however, defeating rival Wazoo and Nebraska in the Holiday Bowl. They allowed 56 points in their first matchup with the Cornhuskers earlier in the year, but in the Holiday Bowl, they allowed just 7 points. After the season, Jake Locker would graduate and enter the NFL draft, where he went to the Tennessee Titans in the 1st round. He was one of many players who improved a lot under Sarkisian, and his passer rating and interception rate improved a ton in his final 2 seasons at the school. Now, it would be big shoes to replace him, but the Huskies had an answer in Keith Price, who would be the starter from 2011 to 2013. Price was an impressive passer and even put up better statistical numbers in his 3 seasons than Locker did. Over this time frame with Price as the starter, the Pac-10 expanded into the Pac-12, and unfortunately for UW, they got placed in a tough Pac-12 North, which is arguably to this day a much more competitive division than the South is. In the 3 seasons he was QB1, the Huskies were decent. They went 7-6 in 2011 and 2012, and then 9-4 in 2013. They were able to climb all the way back into the AP Top 25 and even finished the 2013 season ranked at 25 in the AP poll. They also claimed a bowl win over BYU in 2013, but their success would soon take a hit. Following his success at UW and his history with USC, Steve Sarkisian left the Huskies and took the head coaching job at USC. Although it wouldn't prove to be a huge loss, losing a head coach who was building something special wasn't easy to take in. UW had one of their best seasons of the 2000s and their best offensive season of all time, and their guy was gone just like that. But who they replaced him with was able to guide the Huskies to one of their most successful eras ever, and they don't appear to be done just yet. Washington decided to hire then Boise State head coach Chris Peterson, who had a lot of success coaching in Boise. He brought in an all-new staff, but the schemes that previously worked at the school were kept the same. The beginning to his Husky era was off to a quick start, as the team opened up at 4-0. Unfortunately, they ended the year off at 4-6 and lost their bowl game to put them at an 8-6 finish. Now, the following 2015 season was a pivotal one for the program. Although they went 7-6, quarterback Jake Browning made his debut for the team, and he would be the starter for the next 3 seasons following this one. And in 2016, Browning and the Huskies captured the entire Pac-12 and college football nation by storm. They went an astonishing 12-2, defeating everyone in their path and winning the Pac-12 championship before they ultimately lost to Alabama in the playoff. To this date, UW and Oregon are the only 2 Pac-12 schools to represent the conference in the college football playoff. The defense stepped up so much and the offense hit new highs. Browning elevated his play a lot and had a total of 47 touchdowns on the year. The following 2017 season, the Huskies were favored to win the Pac-12 again, and were ranked high throughout the year. The team didn't live up to their expectations, however, as they didn't make the championship game nor the playoff, but they still finished with a 10-3 record and a number 16 rank in the AP poll. In 2018, the Huskies once again didn't live up to their expectations and failed to qualify for the college football playoff, but this time they won the Pac-12 championship over Utah and finished with a 10-4 record. Although they haven't had too much postseason success over the past 3 years and they didn't reach their full potential, the fact that the Huskies are even at this point is incredible. This could be the beginning of a long stay near the top of the Pac-12 conference, and the Huskies' goal right now is to win a national championship. While their teams may not be as talented as they once were, they still have the weapons and tools to compete. But their rise can be attributed to a lot of different things. For starters, the head coaching and personnel hires have been excellent. Sarkisian was a decent hire to get the Huskies off the ground and back on their feet, and although he left, Peterson proved to be an even better hire and took the Huskies to new highs. The transition between the two doesn't get as much attention as it should. Peterson ran the exact same schemes that were in place before, which was the reason why the Huskies had that seamless transition from one coach to the next. Nothing was changed up to try and make things better, and instead UW got a guy who could keep things the same, which would better suit its players. Peterson was also able to lead the Huskies to places that Sarkisian likely never would have been able to, so him leaving the program might have been a blessing in disguise. Peterson also had a wider pipeline than Sarkisian did, as he already had the state of Ohio and even recruited some guys from around the Sacramento area where he is originally from, including quarterback Jake Browning. Another reason why the Huskies were able to rise is due to their dominance in the state of Washington and the Pacific Northwest in general. Sorry to remind you Wazoo fans, but UW currently has a 6-game win streak over Wazoo. Washington also has a big rivalry with the Oregon Ducks, and a smaller one with Oregon State, but as we know, the Oregon Ducks dominated the Pac-10 and Pac-12 for the majority of the 2010s. Now from 2004 to 2015, Washington couldn't beat the Ducks, but they've won 2 of the last 3 games, and the only loss was by 3 points in overtime. Washington has also won 2 of their last 3 meetings as well against Stanford and have a big win streak against Oregon State. Now Oregon and Stanford have without a doubt been the 2 best teams in the Pac-12 North. So winning those games is almost a must if you want to win the Pac-12, and that is something that UW has been able to do over the past 3 years. The tides are officially turning for UW against some of their rivals, and it has paid off a lot. Since 2009, the Huskies have been able to win their recruiting battles as well. The Huskies have been able to improve on their recruiting class rankings and talent by the year, and haven't really had a down offseason in terms of recruiting. They have also consistently finished higher than Wazoo in recruiting class rankings according to 24/7 Sports, have closed the gap on rival Oregon, and also consistently finished in the top half of the Pac-12 in recruiting as well, and have even made some top 25 appearances nationally. The Pacific Northwest is sometimes overlooked when it comes to high school talent, so the fact that Washington has been able to retain their talent not only in the state but in the region as well has been a key. Their great recruiting has also allowed them to field an all-around good team. Now it's pretty obvious that when teams have good recruiting classes, they're going to have good teams, but sometimes teams can't put together successful seasons one way or another, but UW has been able to. That is due to the fact that all around, their teams have been good. Over this stretch, it seems like they always have a threat at running back, at least one receiver capable of taking the top off the defense, a well-rounded secondary, and a good front 7. They have also been able to find good talent at the quarterback position as well. Going from Jake Locker to Keith Price to Jake Browning to now with Jacob Eason as a transfer isn't the worst quarterback chain to have in the world, and is probably one of the best quarterback chains that we've seen in the last decade in college football. And yet, while we talk about how good their quarterbacks have been, it's been the defense that has arguably been the most stellar group. UW's offense has been dynamic in the past, but in terms of rankings around the rest of the nation, they don't show out too good. Since Sark took over in 2009, the offense ranked in the top 15 in scoring once when they finished 8th in the nation, but in terms of defense, they ranked in the top 15 4 times, which have all come in the last 4 seasons. Their defense has consistently got better every year since around the 2012 season, and it has been the strong point of the team that has kept them in games when things go stale on offense. Their player development has been a huge reason for their success as well. Washington has always been able to produce NFL tier talent, but never at this level or with this much talent. Since 2010, they have had 33 total players drafted, including 8 in the first round. Among the best names include Desmond Trufant, Danny Shelton, Marcus Peters, Shaq Thompson, Buda Baker, and Sidney Jones. Now, although UW hasn't won a national championship quite yet, the fact that their eyes are solely set on winning one shows just how far this program has come. They look so much different than they did 10 years ago, and they may be able to go even further. But, as always, Only time will tell if the Washington Huskies can win the national championship and cap off a very successful decade of Husky football. This has been the rise of Washington football. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, I will see you guys next time.